What's up, y'all? This is Smokey Black, 19750. We're going to talk about bad relationships, y'all. This is Smokey Black, 81 in the building. How you doing this evening?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Getting myself prepared for this topic, but I'm good.
That's good. So, this is Smokey Black. Where you from?
Maryland.
From Maryland. What side of town you from?
The the part of town that people call Yuppieville, and for the ones that don't know, Yuppieville means rich, white, snobby people.
Mm,
That's all I was surrounded by every day. And I was that neighbor that they hated.
mm.
They said I was too ratchet and too ghetto.
Wow. So, this is Smokey Black. What's your nationality?
Half Italian, half Cherokee Indian.
So basically, she has a color. If you don't know that, but well, that's good. So you got a little bit of melanin. I see. I mean, you almost look like a sister.
Unfortunately, that's what I get told all the time.
They be saying you look like a sister.
Mulatto, actually.
For real,
Yeah.
you do look like a mulatto though. I ain't gonna cap. But yeah, the topic is about bad relationships, and
I'm aware.
so what do you call a bad relationship?
A bad relationship is one of those ones where it starts out in the beginning like peaches and cream, and then as time progresses on, you start seeing their true colors. That's when
Mm,
they start showing the controlling aspect, the physical, mental, verbal abuse, the stalking factor. Even after you leave them, they still decide they want to just stalk you until they can't stalk you no more. Still haven't figured out that part why, but they do it.
you ever thought about getting like restraining orders?
I've done had this particular person locked up 4 different times. I've done had a restraining order against him 3 different times. And he has violated every last one of them.
God damn, the fuck. Wait, so basically, you got yourself a fan.
If that's what you want to call it.
A craze fan. That shit crazy, man.
No, that's one of them fatal attraction joints
Mm-hmm.
where they lurk in the shadows and you don't know when they're going to just pop up out of nowhere.
I can agree with that one. But so this fellow that you was in a relationship with, how long was y'all together?
Mm, the worst 20 years of my life. 20 years of my life I will never get back.
So
Therefore, with the 20 years of damage I dealt with from this particular individual, unfortunately, any relationship I had after that particular person suffered the wrath of me and my anger and my scars and my battle wounds.
right. And when you mean by battle wounds, what you mean? Be a little more specific. What, he was abusive or some shit?
He was. He was.
Abusive like how? I mean, physically.
He was verbally, physically, and mentally abusive.
Can I get an example? What you mean
On top
by?
of controlling.
I mean, can I get like an example? Like, well, look, give me something like verbal.
Oh, verbally, I was every slut, bitch, cunt, cheating whore.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. And the sad part about it was he had a medical condition that prevented him from working. I worked 3 jobs at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing this particular person ever had to do was keep the house clean and have dinner ready when I got home from all 3 jobs, because I worked all 3 jobs back to back every day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was traveling by buses and stuff then. if I was 5 minutes late coming home, I was automatically being accused of cheating. So then I would get smacked in the face, punched in the face, choked out, thrown down steps. I mean, the list goes on. And some of the situations my son witnessed at the time.
Oh man, there was a kid involved here. Was it his?
Hell to the nizzo. Thank Jesus for that one.
Oh, okay.
Because if I had a kid by this man, I'd have hung myself.
I don't blame you, boy, but make sure you put child support in that motherfucker. You hear me? Real talk. If that situation was to happen, please, Lord, nail that motherfucker till you can't bleed that motherfucker no more when it comes to breathing. You hear me?
And of course, I mean, this might sound a little personal to some people,
Right.
but this was the lifestyle that I dealt with. There was a particular scenario with this person that I finally got fed up with the physical abuse. We got into a really huge argument one night. And mind you now, any man in their right mind knows you never corner a woman in her kitchen. Because in her kitchen, she knows where every utensil is at any time that she may need one. Well, this particular situation that happened, I ended up going to jail for it. But all the thing I had to do was just spend the night in jail, because once the police came to my house, they seen all the marks all over me. And then of course the huge gash down his chest.
A gash? What you mean kind of gash? What kind of gash was it?
He decided to pin me against my countertop where I had a huge knife block on my counter. And I inched it over to me, and first knife I grabbed was a meat cleaver.
Whoa, Jesus Christ. So you Jason Voorhees that motherfucker.
I tried. And that came with years of being tired and fed up and afraid to walk away.
Hell
and afraid to leave the situation. There was times I got to the point where I was afraid to even go to sleep half the damn time.
Damn, he had you shook like that.
You have no idea.
Oh man.
And even now that I've done moved on, got married, living a better life, got better things going on in my world, this particular individual still finds a way to show his face, pop up in certain areas, still asking certain friends of mine how I'm doing, what have I been up to, blah, 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 whatever. And honestly, it's none of your business. I've moved on. You're no longer a fracture in my life anymore. I don't understand why you won't catch the hint just to leave me the fuck alone.
I mean, you are married. I mean, like, what the fuck, yo? I mean, like...
Do you know how many times I've had to stop my husband from seriously hurting this particular person?
Damn. Your husband really must not like this motherfucker.
And the sad part about it is my husband don't even know him like that. He only knows of what I told him and what he has heard from other people. But the 20 years of my life I spent with him, like I said in the beginning, things was okay, things was cool. You know, he started out like this real mellow, down-to-earth type person. I was like, okay, cool. I can deal with this. And as time went on, we started living together. Then I started seeing his whole demeanor change. Then he started getting controlling. That was the first step. He got controlling. And what I mean by controlling, he would monitor my phone calls. He would monitor my text messages. If I went to visit my mom, God rest her soul, he would call my mother's house and make sure I was there. If I was going out with a friend of mine that he just so happened to know their number, he would call them and make sure I was with that person I said I was going to be with. But again, I worked 3 jobs. What was I going to do between 3 jobs and catching buses? And the fact that I was only 5 minutes late coming in the door? Come on now. You can't control the buses. The buses run when they want to, how they want to, and how often they want to.
Mm-hmm.
So, 20 years of my life that I will never forget, nor will I ever probably get over. But I have tried to find ways to move past it. And during these 20 years of being with him, he had 4 children. And none of them with me, thank goodness. And a whole wife that I never knew about.
That nigga?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no.
Yep. He had 4 kids, 3 different women. In 20 years of being with me, none of them with me.
So what the fuck do he still want you for?
You know, I ask myself that question all the time. I don't know if he's looking at the fact of the matter that financially I was able to help him with things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking maybe that's probably what he still thinks in his mind now, that when he was with me, financially he didn't struggle. I mean, of course, I didn't struggle financially.
Mm-hmm.
I was working 3 jobs and taking care of a child by myself.
Right.
So, of course, being a mother, I had to do what I had to do. Whether it meant working myself to the bone, it was what it was.
Might I add, not to get off the topic, was or is your son's father around?
When it's convenient for him.
When it's convenient. Yo, I have a son, okay? And do you know how bad it hurts me for me to not see my son, my flesh and blood?
I can imagine.
Yo, I get nailed with child support every time I get paid, yo. And you know what's so fucked up about that? I can't talk to my son. I can't see my son. I can't even breathe on my nigga. You feel me? Do you know how bad that shit feel when Father's Day come around and you don't see your nigga and you see other motherfuckers with their sons or their daughters and shit? That shit hurt, yo. And then what makes it so fucked up, they bleeding you dry and you can't even see your own seed. Can you picture that as a black man that can't see their own children? But it's okay for you to nail a motherfucker when they don't want to pay child support. You so quick to send a motherfucker to jail, you don't want to understand what their situation is about. You feel me? Y'all so quick to hit that thing, that mantle. Go to jail. Or you better find a better job. Because if you don't, you're going to jail, son. I'm going to give you 2 months to pay this bill. If you don't pay this bill, you're going to jail. It's just plain and simple. I don't give a fuck about you getting married or anything. That's how they talk. I'm sorry. I just had to let that loose.
You good. Anything else you want to know?
Well, you mentioned that your mom died.
She did.
And you said rest her soul. When did she pass?
January 3rd, 2022, in the middle of a blizzard. And the sad part about it was, and it still eats me alive almost 7 months later,
Mm-hmm.
she had to die alone. And I've never, ever left my mother alone, ever. But unfortunately, due to the circumstances, I couldn't be with her. And that part killed me more than anything else in the world.
I bet.
At that point, I didn't care about my job. I didn't care about nothing else. When I got to work on January 3rd, and I got that phone call in the middle of a blizzard that my mother was gone, I didn't clock out. I didn't do shit. I grabbed my stuff. I ran through the building to find my sister. And we rode out. Now, unfortunately, I could not drive my own car where we were going because of the snow. Because unfortunately, right now, I don't have a 4-wheel drive. So we had to wait for one of my nieces to come pick us up and travel all the way to Laurel, Maryland. So yes, January 3rd will always be the worst day of my life. Because I was unable to be there with my mother when she took her last breath.
I'm sorry to hear about that. I lost my grandmother, and I was real tight with her. And still to this day, I mean, I still feel it every now and then because I'm pretty sure everybody out there lost somebody that they, real close to. But yeah, I feel you where you coming from because I'm pretty sure you had a tight relationship with your
Hell,
mom.
I lost my daddy in '08.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still 15, 16 years later hurts me to my soul.
Right.
Because I have no parents. I have no grandparents. And for the most part, I don't even have no siblings like that because none of them fuck with me like that. So everything I deal with mentally, I pretty much deal with on my own with no outlet.
Right.
And yes, it does take a wear and tear on me because there's times I will sit alone and just get in my head and just cry. Hell, it even happens to me when I'm driving sometimes. Sometimes I start crying so bad when I'm driving, I gotta pull over to the side of the road and pull my shit together. Because I start evaluating a lot of things in my life. And the main thing I keep evaluating in my life is that 20 years of hell that I dealt with that I wish to God I could take back. Because I can honestly say they were the worst 20 years of my fucking life.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you regret being around that sorry black piece of shit?
I wish to God I never met that motherfucker. That's how much hatred and anger that I feel towards him. I wish to God I never met him. And then I found out, and then the real kicker of it was, he's a little older than me by like 8 or 9 years. He started basically chasing me around when I was like 15, 16 years old.
How old is this motherfucker?
He's like 9 years older than me. Maybe 10 years older than me.
Oh, so he like little kid. We got a R. Kelly in the building, y'all.
And he literally started chasing me when I was like 15, 16 years old.
We got a R. Kelly in the building. You better look out for this nigga.
I'm not gonna say to any female in the world, please, God, you come across this fool, run, 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 run. Don't look back. Just run until you can't run no more. Because he is a womanizer. He's an abuser in more ways than one. He manipulates people. He uses people for what he can get from them. And as soon as you ain't got what he's looking for, he leave you alone and move on to the next dumb bitch that'll do it.
Sound like to me that's real nigga activity.
Nah, he just thinks he was the pimp daddy of the world. I mean, he does have the nickname Sir Lie a lot, too.
Sir Lie a lot.
Sir Lie a lot.
I don't know.
Because you could never believe anything he say out his mouth. Oh, and then, speaking about that bullshit, this fool, instead of owning up to his own bullshit and his own shit that he caused, he He had all of his friends and family thinking I was the worst bitch in the motherfucking world. He had them convinced about so many capping ass bullshit about me to the point where his family and friends were looking for me, wanting to fight me, want to do this and that, all because they just listened to his story and his story alone instead of getting both sides of the story to do their own comparison to the stories. They just strictly went off of him, and that was it. They didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to hear nothing I had to say in regards to anything he tried to convince them about me. And that was the fucked up part. When all along, it was him that ended up being the worst nigga in the world. Point blank and simple. Even still to this day, I still feel like I gotta watch my back from his peoples.
But you married though. I don't get that shit.
He still do a whole lot of this. He do a whole lot of this. A whole lot of this. Yap, 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 yap,
Man.
yap, 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 yap.
Let me tell you something. Your husband love you, right? Okay. Now, if I had a wife, right, and I loved the hell out of her, I would protect the shit out of her, no matter what the case may be. She's on a 24-hour watch, just like I go to work. I'm on a motherfucker 24-hour watch, just like a motherfucking watch, nigga. It's like the clock is not gonna stop. Once you go outside, a motherfucker going, what's going on with him? Baby, good? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think you should, like, tell your husband, like, how you really feel about this particular person, because the life you may save may be your own.
Well, speaking of lives to save, I'm gonna get off of my story for a minute, and I'm gonna let all the women in the world know, especially battered women, if you have an outlet to get away and get out, by all means, for the love of God, get out and go. If you have kids, wait until his ass is at work, or wait until he's out with one of his boys at the club, or whatever the case may be. Pack up what you and your kids are gonna need and get the fuck out while you can. Because if the battered situation is worse like mine was, we might be reading about any other female in the world on the news. And I would not want to have that happen to a woman. Period. Because they start out with this cool composure, laid down, back to earth type crap, whatever they want to do. But then with time, you start seeing changes. Then they start getting aggressive. Then they want to start arguing with you for no reason. Then they want to start clocking you everywhere you go. Then they start getting verbal. Then they start fucking with your mentals. And then the last and final step is the physical part. And God forbid